Hey guys, how's it going? I wanted to talk about how we're going to use artificial intelligence at the gym to optimize our sanitizer bottle placement. And I even wrote, "Cause you lazy" up there because we all are. Now you might be wondering, like, why do I look like this? Well, it's typically what I look like at the gym. And so I thought you guys might actually recognize me more like this. Or maybe I look more like this to you, but for most of my friends, I probably just look like this to you. So that's the way we'll do the rest of the video. In optimizing the sanitizer bottle placement. If you go to SouthRAC, you probably know what I mean. You definitely know what I mean, or you're ignoring it. Either way, what I'm talking about is at SouthRAC we have these, and if you haven't been there in a while, it's been a while because ever since COVID, you have these little bottles. I'm gonna do my best to draw them that sit at each station, right? And they're full of sanitizer. And then you get a little rag and you spray it on your rag and or on your bench. And then you wipe it down in between your sets before and after. And if you don't remember before and after, Lord and behold, there's an intercom. The voice of God comes over and says, "Don't forget before and after." So anyways, you get what I'm talking about. But the interesting part is nobody ever wants to put them in the optimal spot. I've got five guys over here, right, hulking 475 on the squat rack. You got another dude over here doing maybe some tricep extensions with some bicep curls or something. And then maybe over here on this side, you got one person with some fives, right, doing some bicep curls or some preacher curls, some stuff, right? And naturally, right, the bottle for whatever reason ends up over here, right? This is where our bottle ends up next to the one person doing the reps of five, and it doesn't make much sense, right? Like anybody in their right mind would say, like, where should that bottle be? Probably like right here, right? Or maybe you want to be nicer to the guys that are lifting super heavy because they're having a rough day. And so maybe you move it even a little bit closer. You give them a little bit more weight. So today we're going to use AI and we're going to use k-means clustering, which is really a subset of machine learning, but whatever, you get it. About how we would place these bottles if somehow Gabe decided to invest in drones that dropped bottles in optimal spots throughout SouthRAC. So I know it's a little humorous because that seems like a steep investment, but if our membership fees go up because Gabe decides to implement this, my bad. But it's probably not going to happen. So what do I mean? If we scroll down a little bit, oh no, math. What did he just draw in that picture? Well, let's go through the centroid part. Math, all I'm doing is I'm saying let's just minimize the distance to every person in whatever vicinity you're in, right? So up here, I'm talking about these guys, right? I was drawing the little X's, and down here, this is just my little simulation of it. So all I'm doing with this guy is taking some centroid, right? Initially, let's say it started at the lady with fives, right? You can see that the dot starts right down here. And as we add more people to the collection of that weightlifting regime, naturally the centroid moves, right? And it ends up moving right about here, right? And what is this math doing? If you're not a math person, which most people aren't, most people are like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I do lots of math. That usually halts the conversation. So all I'm doing with this point is I'm trying to minimize the distance to that point, and this point, and this point, this point, and this point. And all this math, if you guys care, this is the Euclidean distance, which is what you're thinking about, like the x squared, the mean plus the y squared, and then the square root over it, right? Like this is just like the fancy notation, like who cares? And that's for each centroid, right? So for this guy, we just have one example, but overall, you could have many, many centroids. So as I start scrolling down, you'll notice that that's how we should place it. I think this has been driving people insane lately that I've been doing, but like, I do what the math tells me, right? Is in this station right here. I have been placing bottles right here, right dead center, right? Because it truly optimized, right? We got a person here doing some biceps, chest press, doing a couple shrugs, right? You got some back, right? The best place to put this bottle is probably here, right? Like a little bit off center, right? Because I'm minimizing the distance to here, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, right? But naturally, because we're human beings and we like stuff organized for no apparent reason, where do we put the bottle? We put the bottle right here, right? And then everybody makes the journey over to here and to here and to here and to here, and it's really just like a waste of time. So all I want to do is create a simulation for you. And by the way, as always, the code is free. And obviously it's here on YouTube if you want to check it out. I did not write all this centroid maximization software. That was written by another guy right here named Najam Syed. Great software. Good job, dude. And so you can see that if we hypothetically had an even more complex scenario, we can see that the centroids get placed, right? Like this could be our rack weights right here, and this could be our downstairs area, right, with like the circle stuff. Maybe we have 2 bottles down there now. We're getting fancy. And here we're just at the bench rack, right? We got like the Smith machines. We're upstairs again. We got some Smith machines over here, and then we got all the benches and everyone lifting right here, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, and we always pretty much just like line them up on the thing anyway. You know what I mean? Like the wires, anyways, right? So like it makes sense, and like math is telling us like, that does make sense, right? So my biggest bugaboo was this guy, right? Like, let's make sure we either put it in the middle, and we put it in the middle between all the people there. It will minimize the distance, and it will effectively make people probably spray more, reduce COVID, right? I'm going for stretches here. Reduce COVID, keep the gym open longer, keep the public safer, right? Just slippery slope of positivity. Maybe I'll do it this way. So eventually, this is kind of the graphic that we're going to look at, and that's what we're going to end up with. So that's really how you use AI to optimize placement of bottles at the gym. I hope you guys enjoyed this stretch of a video, but I kind of found it fun. As you can see here in the code, for my simulations, I used 5 clusters. Number of clusters to generate is 7. The number of bottles was 5 in this example. And you can come in here and play with the code, and you kind of have to plug and play and then run a Python script. As always, like, rate, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.